Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got a brand new week kicking off in a couple of moments' time. Nick Pistawka is here. We're going to get into some numerology and high strangeness around that. Dirty Filth is here with another crazy cartoon, but the best part about tonight, we have each and every one of you, including Race Fan, back in the gold medal position. It's been weeks, months. Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing the silver. T-Bone with a bronze medal tonight as we kick off roll call with Kitty Caddywhack. How are you? And who is next? Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show about numerology nice and smooth. Thank you for the lube, Mel. Don't forget to give yourself a little shot of that as well. Scrolling on down, Trucker Andrew. How you doing, buddy? Nice to have you here. Robert Lamoth and Thunderhead. How are you? Paula Fost is here. Paula Fost will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. David S., how are you? And Mama Catherine, there she is. Mwah. See how excited I get when you're here? I get so excited when you're here. Mama Catherine, God, I love her. I love her. She is the best. I hope you enjoy tonight's show, my dear. And you just sit back, relax. Dave will do all the work tonight for your entertainment, okay? Love you, dear. Love you so much. Just give her one of them hearts. Oh, I love her. I know. And you know, the best part about it is I know she's doing that back to me. I totally know. It's awesome. Road Flare, how are you? Frankie B and Necessary Dialogue. Nice to have you here. Bam Skyder, Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. Good to have you both here tonight as we scroll on down and say hello to Mickey G. How are you? Thanks for coming on in. And who is next on our list? Well, it's in the studio, everybody. Flat Six and Thomas Rock, nice to see you guys as we scroll on down on our roll call. Operation Shutdown, United We Stand. How you guys doing? Hello, Dirty. There he is in the chat room. Hello, Dirty. All right, I love it saying that. All right, moving on. Bill Sardellis is here. Bill Sardellis will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. The lovely, the talented Melissa Nicole, where have you been? It's been months since you've been here. I'm so happy to see you. Good to have you here. Redstone, welcome to SOR Chat as we scroll on down on our roll call and say hello next to Pam Harris. There she is. Algaray over on Twitch, so into numerology, bench pressed 540 pounds, not 450. That's a typo. 540 pounds, 47 times to get ready for tonight's show. Oh, the lovely, the talented, the gorgeous, the stunning Heather McIntyre. Yes, my Vegas friend. How are ye? I hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing well. Jaquetta, how you doing? Nice to see you. East Coast Turnaround on X. Nice to have you here. Kurt M. Lakeside Laura, welcome to SOR Chat. Hello, Dirty. I'm Hardcore over on X. How are you? Undead Jed, nice to have you here. Rez, welcome to SOR Chat. How you doing? Nice to have you here. Stargazer, thanks for coming on in. Candace Baker, welcome to SOR Chat. Beelzebrad has a devil put aside for me. Thank you for the devil there, Beelzebrad. I appreciate that. Kathy Evans, nice to have you here. And where are we here? Blue Cruz, nice to see you. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're having a great time getting ready for Nicholas Pistawka. We're going to talk numerology and some weird conspiracy around it. Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. Undead Jed, nice to have you here. And Fat Nuts, how you doing, buddy? Nice to have you here as well. And Escape from Blue Jersey, good to see you. I think we're caught up. Oh, there's Digger Dog. There he is. 20 seconds to go. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so check it on out. Get yourself some duds. You're going to look good. Do me a favor. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show coming up to you tonight. A little bit of conspiracy, a little bit of numerology. We're going to blend the two. Nick Pistawka is our guest coming up momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us for another creepy story. Then right after that, it will be the UFO report with our good friend, the wizard, Josh Rutledge. All right. Are you guys ready? I'm ready to go. I hope you are too. So let's get this thing up and running. Nick Pistawka is a humble seeker of truth who has ventured into the deepest rabbit holes in search of answers about humanity's individual and collective purpose. Driven by an unrelenting curiosity, his work explores life's biggest questions. Why are we here? What are we meant to learn? And how do our choices shape both our personal destiny and the world around us? The weight of these discoveries has him pushing further beyond philosophy and into the mysterious consciousness, morality, and unseen forces that influence the human experience. Compelled by what he has uncovered in his journey, inevitably led to the ultimate question, shared by every person alive: the truth about death and the afterlife. His explorations blend science, mathematics, language, spirituality, and critical thinking into a thought-provoking narrative filled with discovery, tension, and personal revelation. Let's bring him on in. Nick Pistawka, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
I'm well. How can you all hear me?
We're glad that you're here. I'm going to get you to move a little bit closer to your microphone because you sound a little bit further away. But I mean, you're a guy from Edmonton, Alberta, one of my favorite cities, because I am a diehard Oilers fan.
Oilers all the way.
Since 1979, way before you were even born, my friend.
Welcome to my bedroom.
And I got to tell you, my man, there's not a lot of people from Edmonton who are doing what you're doing. So let's just get that right off the bat here.
There's not a lot of people that have done what I've done. So
The
Absolutely.
journey to try and find what is going on in this world. I mean, for many people, we look at it, you live, you grow up, you get a job, you have a family, you buy a house. Maybe if you're lucky in today's world, you actually get a vacation every year, and then you grow old and
Yeah.
that's it. You're a one and done substance here on this planet. Most of us just a speck of dust, without sounding too negative. For you, I mean, you've decided to take down a path of going into a lot more depth of what is really going on. Why did you begin this journey for yourself?
Um, so I would say it was something that was kind of naturally imbued in me from the point of creation when I was brought onto this planet. You know what I mean? um, I'm a little nervous here, guys. It's my
That's
first
okay.
time.
It's just you and me, my friend. We're
It,
just having
it,
a convo.
is it sounding clear enough though?
Yeah,
We're
we're on
good
the
there?
radio, man. We got to get going here. So,
Okay, okay.
how did it begin for you?
Um, so I originally got into into like conspiracy kind of subjects around '07. Like I had dropped out of high school prior to that, and then I got into drugs, and then I went back to high school and uh, got into that kind of stuff around that time. That was where it first started, and then like it started with 9/11, which was the big one. I mean, how can you say otherwise, really? Uh, and like within an hour of looking into 9/11 for the first time, I'm like, okay, clearly those buildings were blowing up. Like, yeah, this shit's an inside job. And from there, it progressed into a whole bunch of stuff. Like I was looking into spirituality kind of topics with a lot of doubt because you got like Eckhart Tolle, if anyone's familiar with that name, and you got like Deepak Chopra, and they're appearing on Oprah Winfrey. It's like, why is Oprah like? I don't trust Oprah Winfrey. So like, why does she have these guys appearing on her show? So and then it kind of stemmed from there into the whole numerology thing because that's a more recent development after that point. And
Were you ever into numbers, numerology before you decided to start questioning life?
uh, no, no, largely no. Other than like I was always good at math, always good at science. No, no.
So, with that, as you started down your path of kind of looking into this, did you always consider yourself a conspiracy theorist, somebody who wasn't really into or trying to find those answers, or was this something just new to you that the light switch just went on?
Um, I always had a deep curiosity for things, and like I remember back when I was a child, and like it's one of those like spotty kind of memories. I hope you all can hear me clearly.
Keep
And
going.
I was just jumping on my bed, and I was like 4 years old, and I'm like, I know God exists, but how? How does he exist? Like, so like, who created God? But I know he exists, kind of thing. So it was like I've always been one to question things very, very deeply, and also one that steps back and like takes it all in from all sides, observes, listens, and then I come to my conclusion based on that. based on everything together, how it works together, how it relates.
Going down the conspiracy theory road, it is quite the rabbit hole. It is something that is difficult for a lot of people to imagine because we don't expect things to be as complicated and as convoluted as they seem to be. As you started kind of getting into the conspiracy realm, did you kind of look at everything as an eye opener, kind of like, putting on a different set of sunglasses, like Roddy Piper in that movie? Okay, where all of a sudden what you're seeing was completely different than what you've been taught.
Yeah, I mean, the curriculum is designed to just perpetuate that idea of like go to work, go home to your family, that what you said in the beginning of the show there, right? So
Okay, so with that happening, okay, and you decided to kind of look into the conspiracy world. Um, you mentioned 9/11 right off the bat that kind of
yeah,
caught your attention, and I think a lot of us, without going into too much detail on it, a lot of us have suspicions about what is truly happening or what happened there. I mean, there's a lot of people who throw around a lot of blame on that one, but it piqued your curiosity and your attention to look deeper. With that happening for you, did it make you kind of re-look at life and just say, there's something different here. I don't know really what's going on anymore.
oh, absolutely. Like I had said earlier, how like shortly after I got into the 9/11 and realized that there's something deeper happening, like you were just saying, that's when I started, out of necessity, out of like questioning, like, why am I here? What is this all about? Kind of thing. Uh, I started looking into like spirituality stuff, and like I read parts of the Bible, and just yeah, absolutely, it opened up a whole nother side of things, which is what I intend to get into.
Okay, so
Actually,
where do you want to take us? Like, where do you want to take us?
so to lay a foundation, I very much understand from like a scientific standpoint of how the whole, if you're presenting information, it should be theoretical because of the fact that more people will be receptive to it. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm presenting tonight, what I'm here, and what I have to say, largely so, uh, is going to be as how I see it, things that I know, and as fact. And I mean, obviously, you're free to see it as you will. It's up to you how you interpret the information. And I'm not the most clearest in conveying it. I get that. But beyond that,
Okay.
I do want to address that in what I am saying and what I intend to convey, the information I'm here to present. Despite the fact that I know it in my heart, I'm saying it from a point of extreme humility. That humility is something that I I have to be humble. It's something I strive to be. right? And that said, as well, some of the things that I've went through in the past 11 years, since this all kind of started to unfold in the bigger sense of like, there was when I discovered 9/11, and then I got into the spirituality stuff, and then this numerology stuff that changed everything for me. And there is a level of like, I've lost friends. Friends, like, people have distanced themselves from me. My family has even said, perhaps I should go see a shrink. Like, that's the level of what I'm getting at here. And in the humble side of it, where I'm coming from, I don't blame them for that. I don't blame them, because I get the level of controversialness of it all. I understand that. I get it.
Well, I think, for many people, when they start opening up and they start to see a different light being shined upon them. Okay, they tend to open up about these subjects that are a little too heavy for many people,
Niche.
out of
Yeah.
fear, out of religion, out of many different aspects. I know for me, I lost most of my friends, when I got into this field. Thankfully I didn't lose my family, but I lost a lot of friends too. So
I didn't lose my family, so that, like, they
yeah,
just,
I think it
they're concerned.
yeah, I think it comes naturally that when you start to go down the rabbit hole, that you never know where it's going to take you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I understand the concern too, right? Like I said. Um, so with that having been said, like, I approach this as humbly as I can. That's like a forefront standpoint of where I'm coming from, is always humility. It's always on my mind. It's just where I come from. It's what I intend. So just, everyone can have their own beliefs, and just because that's a thing, people are entitled by virtue of having been created and having free will to have their own beliefs. So I can't interject too much on that, and I'm always open to it as well, right?
So what is your world?
What is my world?
This is about you, man. What is your
Yeah,
world?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tell me.
All right. You put me on the spot. All right. So, from the humble standpoint, I also do want to address that, like, there is a lot of context and like experience that I've went through personally, feelings I felt due to all of this, the process of everything I'm about to address.
Are you doing okay there?
So yeah. No, I'm referring to my notes. Yeah. So I need to present these things in a way that's like in an order that the average person will be more willing to hear it out to the end, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Like because there's those words that you say, and they're trigger words, right? And people have just, like, they hear one word and it's like, oh yeah, discount everything that guy just said or everything he stands for just because of one thing, right? So I have to watch myself in that sense as I progress through all of this. I like like just to take it all into account of like what I'm trying to address and the audience in general.
All right.
Right. So, beyond that, rewind. Going back to the beginning of when I got involved in the numerology stuff, beginning of 2015, and I came across a YouTube channel, Matthew Nicholson, all one word, and he was talking about the numerology, and I was new to it at the time. It was the first time I had seen this side of the numerology. I'd heard about gematria, this and that, like, but what this guy was presenting was a different level that piqued my curiosity. Very much so. Very, very much. Largely because I have an open mind and I don't just reject things off the bat just because it's like, ooh, it's numerology. Oh my God. So I watched a bunch of his content, right? He had hours and hours of stuff. And so the main focus of his channel, other than the numerology itself, the main focus was that World War III is a planned event. It's something that they intend to do, they being like Illuminati, Freemasons, whoever you want to call them, right? They intend to do this on purpose on a specific timeline, right? So now the timeline he's presenting, Matthew Nicholson, the channel, it dates back to 1752. So, like, he's saying 9/11 has been planned for hundreds of years. Not necessarily the events of 9/11, but the date itself. It's been planned around since 1752, right?
And where does that stat come from?
Okay, so 1752. Just looking if anyone's been. Okay, no. It was the calendar switch. So prior to 1752, and even dating back to 1599, that was the first calendar switch. When they switched from the Julian calendar, dating back to Julius Caesar, to the Gregorian calendar, King George VII of Spain in 1599, hence the name Gregorian calendar. Spain switched in 1599, and then it progressively happened around the world in whatever way it happened after that. I think the last one was like 1949 or something like the Philippines, or I don't recall. But 1752 was the English switch, so Great Britain. So, like, if you're into this kind of mindset with the conspiracy stuff, and like everyone knows England's like, and the royal family's like, oh my God, they're like the United States in the sense of like royalty, right? Where everyone just views them as like the dirt, the scum of the earth. They're the ones behind all the atrocities, kind of thing, right? Like, it's so that's an important thing to point out. And so England switched in 1752. Now, the reason that the calendar switch happened was
Hold that thought. We're going to go to break. We're going to continue. Nick Pistawka, when we return on Spaced Out Radio, learning about the conspiracy of numerology. Next on the Mighty SOR. Stay tuned, everybody. All right, we are clear. Just remember our audience can hear us. You're starting to relax a little bit. That's good.
Yeah. That's normally how it works with me, for sure. First time for everything, right? Well, I know this stuff largely just like from the back of my mind, right? So it's something like I learn through repetition. That's largely how I learn things.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, dirty.
Dirty.
Hello, Nick.
Dirty.
Hello, everybody in the chat room, especially Tim and his beard. Mickey G, the cats are currently sitting right beside me, staring out the window, wondering
Terry
why
Hall
they're not
and his
allowed outside.
mustache are here too.
Terry Hall and his mustache.
My
That's
cats
also
are
two separate
out of
entities.
here. I kicked their ass out of this room.
I couldn't do. Hello, Bobberkins.
So do you have to edit ass out?
No.
No. Okay, we're good. Thank you.
I have to go on mute because I have a potty mouth.
Yeah, you do.
Actually, it extended from we had a guest on one time, and I never used to be on mute. And I bought some. I always like to buy this Fentimans ginger ale. It's like the most gingery ginger ale. Anyways, I was drinking it, and the guest said something. I'm like something. Yeah, Dave, that I belched really loud. He's like, "All right, Filthy, we're gonna have to put you on mute from now on." That was like
awesome. That was.
Yeah.
That was
sometimes I go back to that show and show people. I'm like, this is why I don't get to talk on the show anymore.
That's true.
That was a long time ago, Dave. You used to have long hair back then.
I did have long hair. You know what? I'm thinking about growing it again.
Gonna go back to hippie Dave?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Well, you
Yeah.
gotta match the beard. Gotta match the beard.
I'm gonna, if my new project works out, which it will, it's gonna kick ass. I'm going to move to growing the hair again.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I saved a whole bunch of money on shampoo by switching to bald.
All right,
Dave, I don't want to go to work after
about
this.
2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Come on. There we go.
Did you get my pictures I sent you, Dave?
I did. They were nice chest hair photos. Thank you.
Is that going in the special album?
I don't want to know. This
It's
is
a
Nick
running
signing
gag.
out.
Look at this cat. I got my gargoyle. Hello, Mr. Gremlin. Okay, I'll go into no swearing mode, Dave.
All right. We've got about 90 seconds here, guys.
All right.
90 seconds. Hey, guys, want to remind all of you, if you haven't gone on our website, cariboucon.com, VIP tickets are for sale for the 2026 Caribou Con here at 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. We want to see you all there. And we got great speakers coming. Grant Cameron is coming. We have the ladies from Beyond the Haunting. We have Merle. We have our Keith Andrews. We have Brent Thomas. We have Samantha Mowat, Jacob Rice, Paisley Town, and many more coming to speak for you. There will be ghost tours. There will be sky watches. There will be Sasquatch investigations. Okay, but if you want to be on a Sasquatch investigation with moi at one of my hot spots, you have to become a VIP because we're only taking 10 people. That's it. 10 people. So get your tickets, cariboucon.com. I know either Tim Othman and his goatee or Paramar will throw it up in the chat room. Cariboucon, CARIBOOCON. That's right, cariboucon.com. Go check it on out. Still waiting for our first super chatter of the night. Don't forget, I also like thumbs up. So if you haven't given us a thumbs up yet, we'd appreciate it. Hi, Rat Sass. How you doing? Here we go, everybody. We are into the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. We have Nick Pistawka. We are talking about numerology. We're talking about how it ties into history and maybe a hidden history that we didn't know about. Nick, thank you so much for being here. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Dave, as well. Absolutely. So just pick up where I left off, yeah?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So we had the calendar switch in 1752, which was when Britain and her colonies, so USA namely, Canada, Australia, and the reason for the calendar switch was because the Earth year is not exactly 365.25 days. It's 365.2424 or something, right? So over time, if you're like, you have the leap year every 4 years, and then as you measure time, and eventually you're more and more ahead of what has actually elapsed, because there's that discrepancy. So that was the on the surface reason that they switched the calendar. And so the main difference between the Gregorian and the Julian calendar is that leap years are every 4 years, so same, unless the year is divisible by 400 in order to make up that discrepancy, right? So the year 2000 was not a leap year, even though 96 and 04 were both leap years. 2000 was not, because it's divisible by 400, and that's the main fundamental difference between the Gregorian current calendar and the Julian. Now, in 1752, when England switched, they took out 11 days in that year. So in 1752, there were only 355 days instead of 366 because it was a leap year. They took 11 days out. And Dave, I'm going to ask you this. Can you guess what month they took 11 days out of?
A month they took 11 days out of?
Yeah, they took 11 days out. Which month do you think they took 11 days
February?
out? Think 9/11.
September?
Yeah.
Okay, how did that play out? How did that happen? Educate me.
Well, they took 11 days out in order to realign the calendar, right? But they took them out in September because it was a ritual. They were doing a ritual to express this future plan for this day on 9/11/2001, like I was saying earlier, how it was planned for hundreds of years prior. And so the first day removed in September of 1752 was September 3rd, which, if September 3rd had remained in the calendar that year, it would have had 119 days remaining, which is 9/11 backwards, right? The first day removed, right? And also, if you take September 3rd, 9/3, and the year 1752, right? Split both values in half. 9 and 3, 17 and 52. 9 times 3 plus 17 times 52 is 9/11, exactly, which is a prime number. So you need to do some addition there in order, like, you can't just multiply to it unless you have 9/11 itself. Right? And that's the first day removed. So get this. In September, you had 11 days removed. Month 9, 11 days removed from the calendar in that year. The 9th of 11 days. So you had 11 days removed. The 9th of 11 days was 9/11.
Okay. Were they removed or were they skipped?
That's semantics at that point. They're both. they were skipped. They were removed. They didn't exist in that year.
That's right.
Yeah. So it went from September 2nd to September 14th. The 11 days in the middle, gone. Right. So that so month 9, 11 days removed, and the 9th of 11 days was 9/11. And this is what the gentleman that I'm talking about with the whole pre-planned World War III event on the YouTube, Matthew Nicholson, that's the thing he was pointing to as like yeah. So and then I'll just go out right out and say it, because I intend to be fully candid here. This whole process is a lot for me to like bring this information to everyone, because I understand, like, it's hard. It's been tough to like be coming from where I'm coming from with relation to everyone around me. But so this World War III date has come and passed, the one they intended originally, as per this calendar switch. So back to the calendar switch itself, you have September 13th, 2 days after 9/11, which was the 11th day removed, right? So you had, in September, you had 11 days removed. The 9th of 11 days was 9/11, and then September 13th was the last day removed. So now take 9/13, September 13th,
Okay.
and the year. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, take 9/13, the date, and the year, add them together, plus 1752 is, and then backwards, sorry. 913 plus 319 backwards, plus 1752 plus 2571, right? Add forward and backwards is exactly 5555. And this date that the gentleman was talking about on the YouTube channel was 5,555 days after 9/11. Right? So the calendar switch is pointing to 9/11, and the last day removed is pointing to the day that he's trying to say is this is when he thinks World War III is going to start. Right. So sorry.
Keep going. We're on the radio, dude.
I know. So one of the things. So if you look at 9/11 and you look at the numerology of it, right? You had 29 77 alleged victims on 9/11. There were apparently 2977 souls that passed. Rest in peace. Take the number 2977, divide it in half. 29 times 77 is 2233. Add the backwards 3322 is 5555. Right? Just like the damn. All right, we're on the radio. And I'm failing.
With the numerology behind everything and the numbers that seem to add up, how do you take something that's 200 years old and align it with something that happened in 2001?
That's with supernatural influence. These people are Satan worshipers. So that, like, all this stuff that I'm trying to get into is it has to do with Satan worship and the knowledge that was promised by Satan, you know, like, because that is a thing, the power, the control, yeah. So I'm just going to defer from there. And so what I'm referring to here, and I can't see myself anymore because I switched the screen here. That's okay. This numerology I'm referring to, it's what I would refer to as Freemasonic numerology. Freemasons, the highest echelons of Freemasonry. I would call Freemasonry the organized Satanism. At the highest echelons of Freemasonry, it's like they're recruiting through the lower levels, but the highest levels are Satanists, period. And so if you take a look at the Royal Freemasonic Arch, there are 7 zodiac signs at the top. And so you have 3 on either side, and you have 1 on the keystone. The one on the keystone happens to be Cancer, which, go figure, these guys are the cancer of the world. No wonder it's on the keystone of it. Cancer, the sign of it is a sideways 69. Right? And this is where this numerology kind of stems from, is that 69. This was all done very intentionally. This is the reason that the 6 and the 9 are drawn as flips of one another. Like, probably the only reason that that's the case. And so from the 69, right, with that in mind, so a lot of people have probably heard the term Saturn ritual, having to do with like time, and people that know about conspiracy stuff know about Saturn rituals, and so Saturn in Roman ideology is heavily associated with time. Saturn is equivalent to the Greek Titan Chronos, which literally translates to time, specifically chronological or sequential time. And then Cronus also has a brother or son in some interpretations named Cairo, which is the personification of opportunity or opportune time for action. So it has to do with time and timing, right? The Saturn idea. And to note further, both Kronos and Cairo are depicted with wings in Greek mythology, and thus over time Saturn has also begun to be depicted with wings to further signify the relationship. So all this has to do with time and timing, right? So now to extend further, to go back to the 69 at the top of the Freemasonic arch, with that in mind, with Saturn. And there's a tie-in with this whole thing, with like what's known as tetrahedral geometry, right? And so you have there's a thing, it's called a simplex. It's the simplest possible polytope, flat-sided shape in any given dimensional space. So you have a 0 simplex, which is a point. A 1 simplex is a line. A 2 simplex is a triangle. A 3 simplex is a triangular pyramid, a tetrahedron. And a 4 simplex is what's known as a 5-cell, or a 4-dimensional object bound by 5 tetrahedral cells. Now, to further elaborate, you have work that was done in physics in the past. Specifically, most people would recognize it as like Einstein's work, where he showed that he theorized that that time itself is an inseparable part of the 4th dimensional plane. Right? Time and the 4th dimension are the same thing. So, at that said, the tetrahedron being the simplex of the 3rd dimension, like I was just describing, the tetrahedron is the closest thing to time. It, like, from the observable universe, what we see and what we look at, it's the most direct connection to the 4th dimension, to time itself. And then, that being said, you can get into the silicate minerals that make up 90% of the Earth's crust. You know, all the minerals, and they all have tetrahedral molecular structures. They're all tetrahedral. Water is also very tetrahedral. Carbon, which makes up life, is also very tetrahedral. So this is where I'm going with, like, and keeping in mind that there's a whole supernatural influence as to why these people are using tetrahedral geometry in like the defining point of the numerology that they're using.
So how does that all work when you put it together?
Yeah.
We have about 5 minutes to go before we got to go to break.
Another break, yeah. All right. So you take that 69 at the top of the Freemasonic arch, and you take the 6 by itself, because 6 represents life and mankind. Biblical interpretations of the number 6 has to do with mankind and sin. 6 is also the number of the carbon atom, right? And so you take that 6 by itself, and the 6th tetrahedral number is 56, and 6 times 56 is 336. Take 336 backwards and add it. 336 plus 633 is 969. which is a huge number in this numerology. It also has to do with Saturn because Saturn moves at 9.69 kilometers per second. Now, back at the 69, you had 969, right? And then further from 969, you take 969 plus 9 times 6 times 9 is 1455. Add the backwards, 5541 is 6996. 69 and 96 backwards. It's all about like as above, so below, everything flipped on its head. So now go back to the 69, and the sixth tetrahedral is 56, like I just said. The ninth is 165. 56 times 165 is 9240. 9240 plus 0429 backwards is 9669, which is 6996 upside down. All from the 69, right? And so those are three of the numbers that form like some of the, like just the highest echelons of the numerology that these people define themselves from. Right? So from there, that number I said earlier, 5555, with respect to the calendar switch, where 913 plus 1752 plus backwards is 5555. And the date there was 5,555 days after 9/11. So take 5555, 5555 plus 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 is 6180. Add the mirror, 6996. So it's tied to 6996. Right. And also the date that's 5,555 days after 9/11, 1126 plus 2016. Like I said, the date came and passed, but I'll get to that. Is 3142, add the mirror, is 5555. 3142 plus 2413, 5555. And so I'm trying to lay the foundation of the stuff that I'm getting at here, where like I know these numbers are what they are after, the things that they really, really strive for in everything that they do. And then there's other lesser tiers of numbers, but from the perspective of what I have to present, and I have a whole presentation on it, actually, a written presentation. I'm just not super good at conveying it in the heat of the moment. But there's a whole tiers of the numbers, right? Where like those ones are at the top, and then you got like the 222s, 322, which is skull and bones, all a whole bunch of stuff, right? It's very convoluted. But yeah, I'll get really heavy into the numerology in the next segment, and away from there.
The complication of it is the numerics, obviously. Not many people,
yes,
including myself,
understand
numerology probably as well as we could or should. But I'm looking at it and thinking, can we not define numbers to be what we want it to see rather than what they actually direct?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, that's something I fully take into account and understand that that's why they get away with this shit. It's just sounds so unbelievable to most people, but it's real. All
right.
Okay.
I'm gonna get you, Nick, to hold on right there. Yeah. We are gonna go to break here at the top of the hour. Nicholas Pistawka, numerology, how it ties into what's happening in the world today. Numbers are numbers, unless they are numbers. Does that make sense?
This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, Nick, we have about a 7-minute break, or probably 6-minute break. We'll be back in about 5.5 minutes. Dirty Filth is going to take things over.
Yes.
Hello, Dirty.
Hello, Dave. Everybody's going for smoke break and let the dogs and the cats out and everything. And I'm going to sit here and ramble about cartoons. But look I did some UFO cartoons of the gremlin and the gargoyle stealing UFOs because cats are jerks. And that's what they like to do, steal UFOs and junk. But I figured since we're here, we should have a little look through here. Oh, let's find a drawing from my book, shall we? Yes. Let's go to this page with my pal Dave. He's playing some poker. Where is it? Here. There we are. Actually, he's playing craps. This is Dave playing craps in Vegas with the lizard and a Bigfoot. It's like, hey, 7, a nice shooting. Grunt. So this is my second book, by the way, folks. It's available on Amazon. And unfortunately, it's got a little bit of a glare, so I can't really show it very much. Cursed glare. But yes, available on Amazon. Prints anywhere in the world. And other than that, you can also find more drawings with myself, the cats, and Fox Vegas every Saturday, pending UFO abductions or anything like that. And we sit around and sometimes we give out some stuff. Baked Beano won the prize last Saturday. So he's got himself some Nightcrawler plushies coming. And we also have a picture of Dave in here going for a massage at the Bigfoot massage. Or is it right there? I always like this drawing. This is a good one. Could you whack my spine a few times with a hockey stick, please? Whack. Yes, he's got his Yucatan brand olive oil there as well. That's how Canadians get massages, by the way. They go over and Sasquatch beats him in the spine a little bit. Trust me. Well, don't worry, Mickey G. If you need it, I'll call you in sick. Just give me your boss's number. I'll call him. Be like, yeah, Mickey G got nicked by a bus. Hello, Julie. Nikki G got. Oh, and check this out, everybody. Here's some boobies. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's all blurry boobies. That's what happens when they sneak up on you. There we go. Look at those boobies. Bees and booze. Yeah. That's a good one. Also, the best part about this book is I have 2 short comics in the back as well. There's this one. It's called Somewhere in the Woods. And it's about Sasquatch stealing a Saskatoonberry pie off Grandma's windowsill. And look at, there's Man in Black powers down, but look at Man in Black's nice tight ass he's got there. Don't worry, Mufon. We're on. Oh yeah, geez. I guess I keep forgetting. I'm not on the radio side of my show. But anyways, I also have, this is the Dave and Science Bob adventure where they go time traveling and they ruin Earth's only time travel machine. Good job, Dave. And then also there's Nightcrawler's adventure in here as well. But yes, this is a second book. I'm working on the third one as we speak. And after that, I'm going to, oops, these are all blurry again. And after that, I'm going to just work on some shorter things. It's a little bit nice, but yeah, you gotta love the boobies, Kitty Cattywhack. And thanks for coming out on Saturdays too. I appreciate it. But yes, Saturdays at 3 p.m. Mountain, 2 p.m. Pacific, and 5 o'clock on East Coast. Stop being blurry, damn it. That's what time my show is at, and I sit there and talk about UFOs and aliens and all types of weirdness. So, got a couple minutes left here before Dave comes back with my pal Nick. And, oh, look at this. I also have this is also another drawing that's going to Baked Beano. Carl, I told you left at Albuquerque. Oh man, Fabrice is going to be pissed because they crashed Fabrice's UFO. Oh yes, 4 p.m. Central, by the way, Mickey G. This is a magnet. Big Beano's going to stick it on his fridge, I hope. If they have a fridge. I wonder if they got fridges in Australia. Maybe they're backwards and they don't have fridges. I'm not sure.
Hello, dirty.
Hello, Dave.
Am I allowed to have my mic unmuted?
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say to all the audience that can hear me is what I have written down on this stuff is way more direct, and like talking about it is another thing, especially when it comes to the actual numbers. And like just trying to like paint a picture, and then you have to remember all those things and see how they relate to what I say.
All right, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, buddy. We're going to come back in about 20 seconds. Thank you to David and to John for our super chats of the night. We really appreciate the love and support. Remember, our store is always open at spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check them on out. And here we go with hour number 2. All right, here is hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Numerology is on the topic du jour as we are having a lot of fun with our guest, Nick Pistawka. So we're going to check him on out here momentarily. But first, we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Paradromic. Paradromic is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's get back to our guest. We have Nick Pistawka here hanging on out, telling us about the darker side of numerology. And Nick, thank you so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you as well, Dave, and thanks to all that are taking the time that's necessary on this subject.
All right, so where are we heading?
So I addressed the 69 on the arch and how it tied in with 969, 5555, 6996, 9669, which is 6996 upside down. And then there would be 2 other numbers I would consider at the highest echelons of the stuff they die for, which is 666, number of the beast, and then also 8888, which is from the 202, the 404 verses and 22 chapters in Revelation, which was something they added after it was revealed. And 404 times 22 is 8888. And then if you take 8888, divide it in half, 88 times 88 is 7744. 77 times 44 is 3388. 33 times 88 is 2904. Add the mirror, 4092 is 6996. Once again. So from there, getting into the 9/11 further. So 9/11 is the largest terrorist attack in U.S. history, obviously. The second largest is Oklahoma City bombing, which happened, what was it, 4/15 or whatever, 4/15/94, 95. From that day, Oklahoma City bombing to 9/11, there's 2,337 days. 2337 plus 7332, 9669. 2337 days is also 6 years, 4 months, 23 days. 6423 plus 3246 is also 9669. And 2337 days is also 333 weeks and 6 days. 3336 plus backwards 9669. So you get 3 9669s in relationship of from Oklahoma City bombing, the second largest terrorist attack, very important because it's not the 4th or 10th floor. Right. So, and then 2,977 alleged victims on that 9/11. Split in half and multiply. 29 times 77 is 2233, plus the meter 3322 is 5555, right? With the whole thing with the calendar switch and the idea of World War III happening 5,555 days after 9/11. Right, and then also from 2233, if you take 2233 plus 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 is 2269, split in half and multiply. 22 times 69 is 1518. Add the mirror is 9669. 8151 9669. Of the 2977 alleged victims, 343 were allegedly firefighters. The sum of divisors of 343 is 400, and the 343rd prime number is 2309. Add those all together, 343 plus 400 plus 2309, 3052. Add it backwards, 5555. You had 2977 total victims, 343 were firefighters. Subtract the 343 from the 2977 is 2634. Add them here, 4362 is 6996. And it goes, the first plane on 9/11 took off at 7:59, crashed into the North Tower at 8:46. 759 plus 846 is 1605. And if you add those values backwards as well, so 957 plus 648 is also 1605. So it works forwards and backwards here. And 1605 plus 1 times 6 times 5 is 1635. Add them here, 5361, 6996. Again, the second plane, so that was the first one. The second plane took off at 8:14 and crashed into the South Tower at 9:03. 814 plus 903 is 1717. Add them here, 7171, 8888. Right? And then you had the first the plane impact at 9:03, the one that everyone saw. There was only the one footage of the first plane hitting, but you had the one at 9:03 where all the cameras saw it from every angle. And this number 903, 903 plus 9 times 3, drop the 0. The 0 would nullify, like there's no point at that point, right? 903 plus 9 times 3 is 930, plus backwards 039 is 969, right? The first plane impact was at 8:46. The second was at 9:03. So it went from the first plane taking off to it impacting, to the second plane to it impacting. Now we're going first plane impact and second plane impact, right? 8:46, 9:03. Add them together, 1749 plus 1 times 7 times 4 times 9 is 2001. Oh, fancy that. It just happens to be 2001. Also, if you add those times mirrored, so you have 846, 648, 903, 309. Add them together, 957, which happens to be the mirror of the time when the first plane took off at 7:59. Now, the first plane took off at 7:59. The second took off at 8:14. Add those together. What do you get? 1573. 1573 plus 1 times 5 times 7 times 3 is 1678. Split in half and multiply. 16 times 78 is 1248. Add them here. 8421 is 9669. And then back at 1573, before you add the 1 times 5 times 7 times 3, 15 times 73 is 1095. Add them here. 5091, 6996. Finally, add them all together. 759 plus 814, the times when they took off, plus 846 plus 903, the times when they hit the towers, is 3322. Add them here. 2233 is 5555. Go figure. Any, should I just keep going?
Keep going.
All right. The number 911 can be written 4 ways when flipped and mirrored. Keep in mind, like I said earlier, the 9 and the 6 are drawn as flips of one another for a reason, for this numerology specifically. I don't think there's any other reason. I really don't. And 1 is like a flip of 1, right? So 911 can be written 4 ways when flipped and mirrored. 911, 119 backwards, 611 flip, 116 flipped and mirrored. Right? Add them all together. 1757, split in half and multiply. 17 times 57 is 969. The sum of divisors of 911 is 912 because it's a prime number. 911 plus 1, 912. 912 plus 9 times 1 times 2 is 930. Add them here. 039, 969. Again, the first 911 call, because 911, I don't know if there's any outside viewers, but 911 here in Canada and the States is the emergency number. The first 911 call was placed on 2/16, February 16, 1968. And so to hone in on the date itself, 2/16. 2/16 is 6 times 6 times 6. Right. And then 2/16 plus the year 1968 is 2184. Add them here. 4812 is 6996. Oh, fancy that, huh? The 2 atomic bombs to end World War II were dropped on 8/6 and 8/9, 1945. The bombs were dropped on the 6th and the 9th, 69, right? The bombs were dropped 6 and 9 days prior to Japan's formal surrender on the 15th, 69. Again, bombs were dropped 8/6 and 8/9, 1945. 8/6 plus 1945 plus 8/9 plus 1945 is 4065. Add them here. 5604 is 9669. The total duration of the war was 2193 days. 2193 plus 2 times 1 times 9 times 3 is 2247. Add them here. 7422 is 9669. U.S. involvement was 1365 days. 1365 plus the years 5631, 6996. And back at 1365, 1365 plus 1 times 3 times 6 times 5 is 1455. Add the near 6996. Fancy that. It's funny how these things, is it just coincidence? I mean, it's up to you to determine your belief on that, I guess, right? But I know otherwise. Like I said, I'm here to present the information that I know. So that's it.
With the information, I mean, for a lot of people listening in, they will look at all of these numbers and they will say, you know, numbers can be added up any way possible. Numbers can kind of be, you know, numbers are weird that way. Okay. But for you helping find the patterns in all of this, for us people who might be lost with all the mathematics, you just throw it in. What does it all accumulate to?
Exactly what I'm saying it accumulates to. But for the viewers and this is why I'm here, is like just to put the information out and people can discern for themselves. They can ask all the questions if they already haven't left at this point, right? Because I understand the whole woo-ness of the idea, and but I will say as much as almost entirely so in the presentation I'm talking about, which is like it's not even, it's like half finished at this point, and I just haven't gone around to actually finishing it, where I get into the whole afterlife and death and that stuff. But the methodology that I use across the board in every example, 99.9% of the time, is the exact same methodology as I apply to the next and the next and the next, and it's like repeating it. There has to be a repeatability, otherwise, like no one's going to believe it at all. And I'm just hoping that a few maybe take it into that it helps them out. That's kind of my goal, I guess.
Have you checked out other events that the numbers have added into as well?
Oh yeah, I got to hear. Like I can get into the wildfires in California. Sorry, wildfires. Yeah, because there were directed energy weapons. It stayed how it is. That's what I'm here to do. Yeah, those weren't wild at all, and there's a whole bunch there. It's all in. I'm not going to get into it, but I perhaps will get into the Japan earthquake, because that will transition us. And I know there's another break in how long?
About 7 minutes.
Okay. So the movie The Sinking of Japan was released on 7/15/06, and the Japan quake happened on 3/11/2011. Take the dates alone. 715 plus 311 is 1026. Split in half and multiply. 10 times 26 is 260. Add the mirror, 620. Or 062 is 322, which is skull and bones, in case for those who don't know. Skull and bones is 322. It's another like lower echelon number. Right? Take the dates mirrored. So you have 715 and 311, the dates. Flip them around. 517 plus 113 is 630. Add the mirror is 666. Take the dates, and it just, oh yeah. It's hard without actually reading it. Okay, this one's interesting. So take the dates forward and mirrored, 715 plus 517 plus 311 plus 113, plus the year 2006 when the movie was released, plus backwards 6002 is 9664. The earthquake happened in 2011. So we took 2006 there and added it into the equation. The earthquake happened in 2011, which is 5 years after the movie was released. Add 5 to 9664, 9669. And then there's more to that one. Like it's so convoluted that I can't even begin to describe it in the time constraints that apply to my time here with y'all.
Well, we got 5 minutes. Let's try and do some of it.
Okay. So from there, when I first found the YouTube channel, like I was saying, and when I became convinced that World War III was a pre-planned event, because that was the main goal of his channel, was to say that this day, November 26, 2016, was the plan World War III. And I'm like, after everything I saw, I feel that's the case. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm almost 2 years out. This is like the beginning of February 2015. And like, just thinking, like, how would the elites go about this, right? There's no way it just gets to that day and then all of a sudden it's World War III. If that's the plan, right? There's going to be a buildup of stuff. There's going to be, so I'm thinking to myself, like, what would they want to do before then? And then I thought about some of the pardon, I got a burp a little bit. Some of the prophecy and stuff that just the general prophecy of like hearing about earthquakes happening in diverse places in the end times, because World War III would be end times. So I'm like, okay, and I at this point I'm pretty certain that they have the capability to trigger earthquakes on purpose. So that's where I start looking, because my goal is to find an event before the World War III event that I think is probably the case at this point. And I'm very new to it all at that point, right? So keep that in mind. But to expose something beforehand in order to go to show that that this World War III thing is a planned event, okay? Because I use the numerology to expose whatever I'm trying to expose. So, I got 2 minutes?
Got about 2 minutes.
So, I start with the earthquake drills. That should be a good place to leave off. So I'm thinking that if there's a planned earthquake, then the earthquake drills will be made to numerologically coincide with said planned future earthquake. So I'm trying to find a future date, but I'm looking in the past in order to help me to find that future date. And so the nearest earthquake drills, the most recent ones, were October 15th and October 16th, 2014. So the year prior, October 15th and 16th. The first day, October 15th, was BC alone by itself. And then the next day, and this, keep in mind as well, this is the largest earthquake drilling organization in the world. The Great Shakeout. They do drills everywhere. And they had BC by itself. So coming from my perspective, like, as soon as I saw that, from my level of like just recognition of what I'm seeing, it's like, okay, BC is the target because it's singled out on its own one day, and then the next day is everywhere else. And I will also address this. I don't know if y'all know about the Mandela effect.
Yeah, I'm big into the Mandela effect.
Okay, so I have a personal one right here, right now, because I know what I saw. This is the only reason that I started looking, like, BC being by itself was the only, it's literally the foundation of what I'm getting at. That's been changed. All the drills happen on the 16th. But I know otherwise, and I was like, I'm a proponent. Like, I know when I was reading Bernstein Bears back in the day, and it's like, is it Bernstein or Bernstein? Why would I say that if it's Bernstein? Like, I know that, like, I was very, you know, the idea of the Mandela effect. I was pretty convinced.
Hold that thought on the Mandela effect, because we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the story. Second half is next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
The weather change here is killing me right now. Killing me. Oh, God, am I sore. Hello, dirty.
Hello, Dave. That's because you're getting old.
Oh, God, I am so stiff in my legs right now. Holy cow. I got to go try and find another pillow. I'll be right back.
Okay, bye, Dave. See you in a little bit, Dave. If anybody's wondering, I'm working on my Spacebar comic number 2. And I'm trying a different way to do this here. So I'm coloring as many things as I can in all at once and seeing if that works better, if it's more efficient. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's faster than the other way or not, but that's what we're going with. So this particular Spacebar episode is about the man in black being sent by the Bureau to collect a soul so they can put it inside of a shell, and then they can use that shell to have a whistleblower and have UFO disclosure. That's the premise of this comic. Yes. And it's actually quite gruesome at the end, but I can't tell you about it because that would ruin the whole comic. But this is the one I'm trying to get finished, so that once it's all done, then I'll have a blank slate, so to speak. But then I can work on some other little short comics, which I enjoy doing comics. They're always nice. And it gives somebody something to sit around and stare at for a little bit. So that's what that is. This is the container with this green block here. This is where the shell, the whistleblower shell is, and they just need to get a soul. And so basically the man in black goes to the local space bar and he challenges the gnome for a soul. And the gnome says, well, if you beat me, if you win in a game of poker, then I will give you the soul that I possess. And on the condition that if the gnome wins, then he gets the man in black's blank slate, the thing that, removes your memories. And hilarity ensues. There's even a brief appearance by Bigfoot. Very brief. He's in one or two panels. But yeah, this is 18 pages. By far my longest comic that I've ever done. And so, yes, that's why I've been switching out back and forth between all these different panels and everything. So it makes sense. But yeah, it really gets deep into some of the stuff. I even use on this part here, I use the Bob Lazar hand scanner that he talked about way back in one interview with George Knapp, old Georgie boy. So there's that, and then I go into
Georgie,
old GN George Nappy. Dave. Oh, that's not the brush that I want. Did you find a suitable pillow?
No, I flipped mine over.
Yeah, that'll work. There's also a guest appearance by Mothman temporarily. Is he?
Nice.
Oh, it's just about that time, Dave, to go back to no swearing mode. Just about to go back to no swearing mode. I gave the cats some extra snacks too, by the way.
What kind of treats are they on these days?
Actually, I bought some cat milk.
Yeah,
it's like a little tiny thing of like a little carton of milk. So I put that there, and the gremlin just devoured it like he was starving to death.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
he's a feeding frenzy.
They're out of control, dude.
Feeding frenzy.
Yes. I'll make sure to give them more
Camera
snacks.
just went blurry.
Did it?
Oh,
why is it doing
blurry.
that? Did it blurry, dirty? Look at that. Why is it doing that to me?
Still blurry.
Stop doing that. Stop doing that. It was blurry earlier when I was trying to show off the. That's
All right, we're
probably
coming back in 10 seconds here.
Okay, here I'll.
Here we go into the second half of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Let's just have some fun tonight. Numerology on the table as we get ready for the second half of the show. And want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We're just waiting for our guest to return as we are talking with Nick Pistawka tonight. And numerology is where it's at. But before we bring him on in, I want to tell you about my little project that I'm working on. I do. Why? Because, well, I can. What are we working on? I am starting a paranormal tourism company. Yes. So we're just in the process of starting the building the website, which is called Haunted 108. That's the number 1, the number 0, and the number 8. Haunted 108 is what we are doing. And we are setting up a bed and breakfast as well as many other paranormal oddities at our local museum at the 108 Mile Historic Site. And that concludes with the Paracon this year that B. Arthur from Paranormal Portal Podcast will be with us. So we're glad to have him here as well. So just want to say that it's going to be a lot of fun. You can rent rooms. You can go on a ghost tour. You can take a paranormal investigation, take a paranormal course, take a cryptid course, take a UFO skywatching course. We're going to get into it all. It's going to be a lot of fun. And especially for our American audience, it's all going to be in Canadian dollars. So like I think right now, the way the exchange rate is going and the recession Canada is in, I think that's literally going to be, I think $100 Canadian is like, it's like $141 American right now. You're saving big money. All right, let's bring in our guest. We got him till the top of the hour, Nick Pistawka. Good to have you here, my man.
Hello.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Back to the numerology.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you taking us?
So, where I left off with the looking up the earthquake, right? And so now, from these two dates that I expressed, October 15th was BC by itself, right? So I figure BC is the target. That's kind of my standpoint, my approach. And so now I guess and check a certain amount of days in the future from that date that puts me in the future from where I'm looking at it from. And so I come across March 2nd because that's 138 days after, and 138 plus 831 is 969. So I'm checking March 2nd. And then I consider what else, like I'm trying to cross-reference this future day with things that may have been made to align with a planned earthquake, right? So I'm checking election days for BC, Vancouver, Canada, United States, even because it's a Pacific Northwest quake, but it's targeting Vancouver. So and then founding dates, of those same 4 locations. So I'm cross-referencing this March 2nd day with all of this. Movies that have to do with earthquakes, volcanism, end times. Cross-referencing just to get a feel for what's there. And I'm not comfortable with this day, the first day I checked. So then I'm like, okay, I'll check 135 days after, because 135 plus 531 is 666. So now I'm looking at February 27th. And I do exactly the same thing as I did with March 2nd, where I cross-reference it with the same stuff to get a feel for what's there, what may be there, right? And I'm finding a lot of stuff. Like March 2nd, I was finding a fair bit, but February 27th was next level. And I found a lot more since then. To sum it up quickly, I was convinced February 27th was this day of a planned earthquake. And I exposed it publicly on Facebook, expecting that they would still go through with it. And like, from a very new to this, and like, I didn't think it through, and in hindsight is 2020, blah, blah, blah. I exposed it publicly. And it basically said, like, to whom it may concern, I very strongly believe there will be a megaquake on the Cascadia subduction zone on February 27th, 2015. So I named the event, location, and date publicly on Facebook. And needless to say, obviously that didn't happen. But so the day after I exposed this, do you remember the West Edmonton Mall terror threats? West Edmonton Mall. Pardon? You don't? Sorry,
No.
I can't hear you.
No.
Okay, so there were West Edmonton Mall and Mall of America, because they're both owned by the Gramesian family, whatever. And the day after I publicly posted this, there's all of a sudden an Islamic terror threat on West Edmonton Mall and the Mall of America, literally named in the video the day after, right? Not only that, I was going about this, getting into it with my friends on Facebook, because I still expected them to go through with the event the whole time. So, but then when it didn't happen, I was looking at news articles in Edmonton, like, just to see if there was anything that stood out to me as a potential response. And I find this house fire from where I was living at the time, 6 blocks from me, right? And it was the day after I exposed it. So I bring up the address, I do my numerology thing. I'm like, okay, lines up pretty good. And I brought it up to my sister, whom, like, picture her perspective of what I'm getting at. Anyways, I brought it up to my sister. I was like, hey, the numerology lines up pretty good. And she's like, that's my friend's house. Yo, what? What did you just say? That's my friend's house. Yo. And the numerology lined up, and it was the day after. 3 days after I exposed it. So I exposed this the 21st of February. So 6 days before the event itself, I go public. I'm exposing February 27th. I exposed it on the 21st. 3 days after, on the 24th, I'm on my computer doing my thing, getting into it with my friends a bit, and my computer gets hacked. And the guy's like fucking with the mouse and whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what this means in some sense of the word, from like a virgin to this almost at the time, right? And in hindsight, it's so much more clear. And so after that, later on that night, the same day, and I'm sitting there at 7 o'clock doing whatever, and get a knock at the door, and it's a pizza delivery guy. Pizza 73 at the door, and 73 is an interesting number too. I won't get into that, but no one ordered pizza. You got 3 pizzas there? Like, we didn't order that. He tries calling the guy the number, and no one answers. And so, like, I know what this is getting at from my perspective. Like, this is just the beginning of the responses, the level of response I've had. Like, it's been thorough, very thorough. That's not the only time I had a fake Pizza 73 delivery happen. But there's a lot of context with the second one. So needless to say, I'll skip that for a second. And a month later, I'm working doing snow removal with a good buddy of mine. Actually, he knows you apparently, Dave. His name is Dave as well. Dave Sherburne. You guys are friends on Facebook. I don't know if you know it off the top of your head or whatnot. So we're doing snow removal, and we have our route, and then we have like a halfway point where we kind of stop off at the Walmart there, and go in, and if we need to buy something or we need to use the bathroom, we go in. And so we walk in the one day, about a month after all this started, and go to the bathroom, come back out, and we're walking down the main aisle towards the exit, and this guy walks past me, and he's short, stocky Asian dude, and for some reason he just catches my eye, and I turn around after about 6 paces after passing him. I turn around, and the guy has full stopped like this, with his chest puffed out, and this look on his face, this fucking look, like I know exactly who you are.
Swearing on my show. Can't have
Sorry.
you swearing on my show. You
Sorry,
just dropped an F-bomb.
my bad.
Continue the story, please.
Yeah. So that happened, and I knew what it meant, and y'all, yeah. Anyways, that's not the only time that's happened. Okay, so this World War III planned event thing was the end of 2016, like I was saying. That's their original goal. But for whatever reason, God did not allow for that to happen. He was sending a message to them like, yo, you're on my timeline, bro, kind of thing. And I feel a little rushed here. So
I can see how it's mind numbing when you put it all together, and that you have, all of these pieces that are adding up numerically. How do you,
not just numerically.
how do you kind of control the emotion that goes into all of this once you're putting it together?
I was built for it, I guess, in some sense. Like I said, the Pizza 73 thing was not the first time that happened. The encounter with the guy at the Walmart, where he was full on turned towards me with that look in his eyes, directed at me, was not the first time. It wasn't even. It was one of 3 times that happened. The Pizza 73 delivery happened twice. and just the way these people work, the cryptic level of stuff, the symbolic. It's all about symbology uh, and so does this wrap at 12 or does it go to 1?
Right on.
Does this wrap at 12 or go to 1 o'clock?
We got 10 more minutes.
Yeah, that's it. Well, yeah.
Do you think then that these numbers also read into what's going to happen in the future?
Oh, absolutely. As I stated earlier, this World War III thing was a plan for the future, but they felt the need to postpone it. That said, that just goes to show how close we are to that day. And I mean, I have the presentation itself where it's a lot more. I was able to step back and put the thought necessary to describe what I'm trying to describe. And like, yeah. We're on the verge of it. It's coming. Like I feel it coming in my being because of my relationship to it.
Do you see an end point?
Like, are you asking if I know another day?
Well, no. I mean, when we look towards the future, I mean, the world is very unstable right now. If the number patterns are continuing, they should be able to almost predict events that are potentially going to happen, should they not?
If you have the know-how to interpret what they're putting out there, right? Because they're always operate in the way I'm saying, in the like symbolic, numerological. They defer to that always. That's their foundation, their standpoint, where they're coming from. Everything they do has to do with that. Everything. So yes, it's potential to figure it out, but that's only because it's planned and it's put out there in relationship to other things they're doing, in relationship to past events. So it's extremely hard to describe without like reading it. You know, it's I can't draw it out in the air. Right? I can only go so far in that sense.
No, and I think that makes very logical sense, because nobody can really predict the future of what is going to happen. But are there signs leading up to this that there might be some sort of future activity? Like, have you noticed any patterns that lead up to that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they reset the timeline. They took their original plan and they rehoned it, and they have something set in place. I can't comment on like specifics. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but I know it's a thing due to the responses I've had, due to all the cumulative understandings, the revelations, the everything I've been through, the things I felt, the like, yeah, it's been a process. It's been 11 years of yeah. I I wish I could say more uh, with like with regards to that the second pizza 73 delivery and the context with that, or the second and third time that had guys like in in a very specific time. I mean, the timing of it. Like the first one was whatever with the guy standing in the middle of the aisle, but the second and the third one, the timing with it and the context, like there's so much I'd have to explain to give you the idea that you need to understand the semblance of what I'm getting at with the second and third encounter. With the like, I had a car stop in the fucking second lane next to me, and this is so much context that's not there. In the second lane, it stopped directly adjacent to me, and the one guy's head's hanging out the window with that same look, like that look, as the first time it happened. And the driver was pretty much in Buddy's lap doing the same thing. But you're absent so much context there, like for me to really explain what was going on and like why it's more than it might seem. Right? And that was the second of 3 times that happened. And the third time was just as obvious.
Right.
When I can get into the context of it, but which I don't have time.
We have about 2.5 minutes left with you tonight. And what do you want the audience to know about these numbers? What is the message?
What do I say here? If I say what I have to say, then everyone's going to even be less inclined to accept and consider what I have to say on a large point. So I was kind of under the impression that it might go to 1 o'clock.
No, we're good. We're good until the top of the hour. That's
fine. That's fine. I appreciate all you listening and you having me, Dave. And I don't expect anything from anyone.
It's been entertaining, my man. It's been entertaining. With 90 seconds to go here, where can people find your work?
On my Google Cloud. Yeah. And Pistawka at gmail.com. I'll post it right up. I can just type it here, right? Sorry, this is my first time doing a fucking podcast. Sorry, F-bomb, my bad. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what? I think that the way you have been able to work the numbers, the way you have been able to kind of put this together has put a lot of different thoughts and perspective into how numerology can really predict events that happen in the world. And I do thank you for that. I mean, it's pretty hard to do that. The majority of us don't really get or understand it. But I mean, for those like yourself who do, I think it opens up our eyes a little bit more that, numbers really do run everything. And when you can connect the numbers to events or everything from a tree growing right to maybe what we consider a conspiracy theory, it works so well in opening up our eyes. So I want to say a big thank you for coming on, Nick. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we got hour 3, which means Swamp Dweller will be here, and the Wizard, Josh Rutledge, joins us for the UFO report. It's exciting times in hour 3.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. Nick, thank you so much for coming on the show, my man. Appreciate it.
What's up?
Appreciate you coming on the show
Oh,
tonight.
yeah, sorry, I thought it was done.
You were
First time.
all right. Have a good night, my friend.
You as well.
Take care. Nick Pistawka, everybody. I'm going to take a quick break, and I don't know if Dirty's sticking around. Are you sticking around, Dirty?
Well, I'll entertain everyone until you get back.
All right, good stuff.
Bye, Dave.
All right, Dirty.
Dave.
Dirty.
Dave. I'm just gonna have to send Dave like a postcard. It just says "Hello, Dave" on it. I think I'll have to do that. I got a whole bunch of postage stamps that I have sitting around. They're all paid for, so they should work fine. Yes, I've actually got quite a bit of this comic done here. Now the cats think they're gonna get more snacks. How about that? Cheeseburger pizza. Hello, Julie. Hello, Kitty Cattywhack. I want a cheeseburger pizza. I don't think I need a pizza at midnight though. That's a little much. Midnight o'clock pizza. Maybe if I was 78 whiskeys deep or something, then it would probably be allowable. If that's even a word, allowable. Yes. There we go. I've got a lot of this bad boy done here today. I'm excited. And once it's all done, I'm gonna have it all put together and everything, and then I'll be able to share it with everybody. Pickles on pizza. I don't know about that. I like pickles, but I don't know about pickles on pizza. I haven't tried it, so I'd have to test it, and then I'd get back to you there, Tim Mothman with beard, and get back to you with a yummy report. Great, now I want a pizza. You know what? I get paid this Friday, so I think I'm gonna get myself a pizza for supper on Friday. And it's Valentine's weekend this weekend, everybody. Make sure you take your sweetheart out for Valentine's, where I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I don't have to take the missus out anywhere. She doesn't want anything. It's like, here's a cat, here's some tea. Congratulations. See you later, lover. And then I'll go draw cartoons, and she will read her Sherlock Holmes fan fiction. And yes, probably do some cross stitching because that's what she's good at doing, among other things. Real Italian toppings like prosciutto. Yeah, you got to have some of that on there. They go to the Italian center by my house, and they had they've got like little platters of delicious toppings. Hello, boy. Gremlin has just appeared. What's Mystic Journeys saying? I had a Mexican pizza once that had a thick taco sauce, seasoned beef, shredded Monterey Jack, black olives, diced tomatoes, and salsa. Pizza in the shape of a Bigfoot is called pizza. Wow, look at that, J Truth Seeker. Do you guys remember when Little Caesars used to have that great big huge pizza? Or was it Pizza Hut? I think they called it Bigfoot too, if I remember correctly. I think. I'm not 100% positive. You know what? I haven't drawn a pizza in any of my cartoons, I don't think. Well, I guess Mothman eats the pizza and everything, but I don't really draw the pizza itself. It's usually just the pizza in the box or a slice. Hello, boy. That gremlin. When I went downstairs earlier, many men envy me that. Wow, first day with my new mouth. Well, I'm pretty much the luckiest guy in the world, yeah. I don't have to take the missus out and do date night or anything like that or buy her flowers. She works in a warehouse full of flowers, so she doesn't like flowers. So I never have to buy her flowers. I normally I would buy her plants, but we've had enough plants in the house, so I'm not allowed to have any more. Hello, mister. You coming up? He's orange. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's orange cats, I tell you. Out of control. As I was saying previously, the Mrs. Filth was having some of that popcorn, cheddar popcorn, white cheddar popcorn, and she was just surrounded by the cats.
You're a cheddar popcorn. People look at you and you're like, that dude is a cheddar popcorn, man.
white cheddar popcorn, Dave. All right, I'm going to go get the cat some snacks now.
All right, buddy.
Goodbye, Dave. Goodbye, Josh. I see him sneaking in the background.
All right. Let's bring in the wizard. There he is, somewhere. Where did he go? Oh, it's right there. There he is.
Yeah. Okay, there I am.
How you doing, wizard?
I'm doing pretty good, Dave. Pretty good.
Good, good. I am like dying here right now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, my I got a weather change going on here, and it's really, really humid right now. And so when it gets humid like this, all my arthritic parts start acting up, all my joints start getting sore. So like I am like dying here, sitting here right now. That's okay. That's because I'm old and I played hard when I was younger.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
what you tell yourself, at least.
That's exactly what I told myself. You know, we're coming back in 10 seconds. Swamp Dweller will be about 3 minutes. Okay.
All right.
Here we go, everybody. We made it to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we have Swamp Dweller and the Wizard coming up next with the UFO report. But first, hi to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Paradromic. Paradromic is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night. Right here on Spaced Out Radio, let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Hey Swamp Dweller, it is me, Cleverer Heart 95. And just recently, I've been hearing some unnatural noises during the past 2 months or so. It all started on a cloudless night when the moon was full. I was on the bench, swinging at my back porch, enjoying the night. My 2 dogs were there with me, sleeping. Suddenly, I heard something in the blackness of the trees. I thought it was a rabbit because we have wild rabbits in the yard. My dogs instantly bolted towards the darkness. Not just a few minutes later, a loud, ear-piercing scream sliced through the call of the crickets, and my dogs came sprinting towards the door, yelping all the way. They were clawing and jumping. They wanted into the house. Something scared them so much to the point of them shaking. The scream came again, and I decided that I had enough peacetime outside, and I booked it inside the house. These screams continued for months. One night, I was in my bed when I heard heavy footsteps outside my window. I froze in place, believing that whoever or whatever was outside was looking at me through the window. Then it screamed. It was so loud that even my parents woke up and came rushing into my room. My father had a Winchester. My ears were ringing as if it were an explosion going off right next to me. And now, to the worst part. Just yesterday, I was outside with my friends, enjoying a bonfire. Being tired, I said that I was going to the bathroom, and I went to the forest to relieve myself instead of going to one of the house's bathrooms. I just got to the shed when I stopped and nearly screamed. There, in front of me, were 2 glowing blood-red eyes staring right at me. They had to be at least 8 feet off the ground. A soft, A rapid clicking sound was remarkably like a dolphin emanating something in front of me. I took a huge step forward, closing the 10-foot distance to a 6-foot distance easily. It was close enough that the light from the house showed some features. It was pure white with ludicrously long arms, and connecting to the ends of the arms were 2-inch long fingers that appeared to be sharp like knives. It had no hair on its body and looked somewhat human-like in physical appearance. It was malnourished. Too malnourished, as if the skin would split open if given the slightest amount of pressure. And then, I looked up at his face. All I saw before sprinting away was row upon row of jagged teeth. It screamed as I reached my friends. We were all scrambling into the house when they started laughing. To my embarrassment, I looked down to see that I had wet my pants. I told them that there was some monster outside, but everyone called BS on it, and no one believed me.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and you go from there. Lots of stories for you to tune on in. From the swamp to the stars, it's time for the wizard. Here's Josh.
Space Out Radio presents a UFO report. The UFO wizard makes his presence known. Just ready to go.
Wizard, it is always good to have you here on Spaced Out Radio. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty well, Dave. Doing pretty well. It's a little busy at home at work, but I've got the UFO topic to keep me entertained and distracted from the actual work that I need to do.
Well, you know what? I know what your first topic is going to be tonight, and I'm just going to let you start off with it because there's a good chance that I am going to rant.
Okay.
Okay. And so I'm going to let you start off with it because I know it involves Super Bowl Sunday, and I know that it also involves a commercial. So you go ahead.
Yep. There were many commercials, some amazing, fantastic commercials. Not as much aliens in commercials this year as there have been in years past, which was surprising. But there was one commercial.
Before you get into that, I want to say, one thing I love about the Super Bowl is the Budweiser commercials.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest thrills I've ever had in my life is actually seeing the Budweiser Clydesdale team live. Okay, seeing the horses.
Yep.
And this is back in the day when they even had the donkey with their team at the lead. The donkey wanted to be a Clydesdale. But that commercial yesterday or at Super Bowl, okay, with the baby bird.
Yep.
We didn't really know what it was, and then the young Clydesdale, the foal there, and then they grow up together, and then the Clydesdales are fully grown, and then off his back comes the bald eagle. Yep. I'm telling you, even as I am a Canadian, I'm a very proud Canadian, but that commercial sent absolute emotion down my spine. It did. It was, in my opinion, Americana 101. I don't care what side of the political side you sit on. That was America. That was an American commercial. I loved it. Absolutely loved that Budweiser commercial.
Well, and did you see at the end of that commercial when they cut back to the stadium?
Yes.
The horse was there, and the bald eagle flew up and perched on the little thing on his back.
I saw that, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. They could not have hit a better home run with that. I know it's a football game, and I'm using a baseball term. but it was phenomenal. And this is where, politics aside, this is where I love your country. Moments like that. And I know it's only a minute long commercial. Okay. And I'm not even a beer drinker. I don't drink American beer because I like real beer. Okay. When I do drink beer.
Yep.
But wow, it just, like, talk about just punch you right in the heart to get you feeling damn good. That's how I felt really good about that. So that's just me. But anyways, go ahead.
I thought it was I don't know. Yes, it's America type commercial, but it's ironic because Budweiser is not owned by a U.S. company anymore. I think they're owned by a company out of like Finland or something. So it's a little ironic, but still, yes, America. But the commercial that was out that we want to talk about that is relevant to tonight's show is the newest trailer for Disclosure Day, the Spielberg film that comes out later this year in June. And it didn't give a lot of additional, like, as trailers go, I wouldn't call it a second trailer. I'd call it like a 1.5 trailer. Because for the most part, it was all the same scenery, except there was they didn't hint, they talked more about the fact that there's this guy who has this information that's going to blow the lid off of the truth. And then there's these people who are potentially trying to stop him from doing that. And he's just like, I'm just going to let the whole world know all at once. Everybody's going to know. So yeah, one thing I'll say is my own kind of personal feelings. When I first watched the first trailer, there was an air of like a small smidgen of fear, which I was a little sad about because I didn't think that the Spielberg film was going to be fear-based. The second or 1.5 trailer, there was none of that. So it really does feel like the whole kind of story behind the movie is going to be this guy who, quote unquote, knows the truth and is trying to get it out there. And somehow this weather anchor individual is involved in his efforts to do so.
I didn't like the second trailer. I thought it was looking more like an action-packed movie rather than a UFO movie.
Well, it's not. I think the big distinction here, and I know you said, we talked about it when we first heard about he was going to make the movie. You're hoping for a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that.
No, I agree with you after watching that second trailer. Here is my rant on it. And I want to be careful because I don't want to insult anybody in the UFO world, okay? Because it's a very passionate world with some excellent minds, excellent people in it, okay? And I have to preface that because people will run and gun with things, okay? This isn't a shot at the majority of people in this field. But the UFO world needs an enema a little bit. Okay. People who were literally right after that commercial went on, going on X, saying, oh, this is all about disclosure. This is what we're talking about. This is what we need to move the ball forward, to get the disclosure out. Spielberg's going to bring us disclosure. All of this kind of stuff. Calm your jets, people. It's a movie. It's a movie that is talking about the topic we love. This has nothing to do with disclosure except the title. And I just get so frustrated sometimes when I see our community that is struggling for credibility. It is yearning, crying, every emotion yearning for credibility. And then when we do things like this, where we all of a sudden, try and blow a Super Bowl commercial about a UFO movie, that all of a sudden we think that this is going to open up the golden gates to the Pentagon, where all of a sudden they're going to be like, oh, Spielberg put out a movie.
Yeah.
We need to now give up all the information. We're going to disclose now because Spielberg did a movie. That's what frustrates me, Josh.
Well, I would say that, my take on it is I've never thought it was going to be anything that resulted in the government doing anything. But, or rather, let's say, however, I do think that it has the potential to bring people who like what Dan Ferris described his disclosure film as being. It was for the fringe people, or the people who are not in the know, to know that this is real. In my opinion, Steven Spielberg's film has a greater opportunity to do that than Dan Ferris' film did. To bring people into theaters to see a Steven Spielberg movie, because he's going to pack the house just because it's Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
And then, but you're going to have non-believers and believers and fringe people and all mixture of people sitting in the same movie theater watching the same movie. And my hope is that it will ignite some form of discourse after seeing the movie. And you will have believers and non-believers and skeptics and cynics and everybody else talking about the topic. Now, do I think that it's going to automatically somehow convert people who are vehemently against the topic? No. And just like we've said before, and many times before, it really takes most people having their own experience before they really believe that the phenomena is possible. They might think, there might be something to it, but until they have their own experience, whether it be with a UFO or a Sasquatch, a poltergeist, a ghost, whatever the case may be, until they have their own experience, it will not really change the way they view or think about the phenomena as a whole. But I think if at a minimum they leave the movie theater and they go to their friend who they know is into this kind of stuff and say, what did you think about Disclosure Day? And that results in some type of conversation that maybe pushes the ball forward in the eyes of society. I don't think disclosure is ever going to come from the government. Ever. I do think that disclosure will come from people seeking out the truth and the answers on their own.
I love that analogy. I don't think I could have said it better myself. And you're right. Spielberg will have the pull to get conversation and people who aren't into this subject going. Okay. But that's as far as it's going to go. Hey, did you see that Disclosure Day? The majority of the population, as much as we in the UFO community do not want to admit to it, the majority of the population, if we just pick the United States, has no clue about what disclosure is. To them, this is a movie title. To them, this is a movie about aliens coming down. If they caught onto that with the second trailer. Now, was I glad to see it? Absolutely. I don't want to be Mr. Bah Humbug. I was like, oh, yay. And I even said to Mrs. SOR, I said, hey, listen for the clicking. And right at the end, you could hear the very quietly. And she's like, oh yeah, my friends were like, that I was with, they were like, hey, what was that about? And I had to tell him, I said, I heard that in our yard, like a conversation going on in our yard one night. And they were like, really? Yeah. So it opened up the conversation. And that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. But for the majority of people, if we focus just on the United States here, for the majority of people, this is a movie. It's going to be another suspense thriller that people are excited about because the old crew is going to be like, hey, I wonder if this is going to be like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The new crew is going to be like, hey, this just looks like a damn good movie.
Yeah.
Right. So am I going to see it? I can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah.
I really can't. I'm excited about it.
Trying to figure out, get some kind of a group together and go see it with a bunch of people here in Phoenix. So, yeah.
Well, I will tell you this, man. I haven't been to our little town movie theater, okay, in probably 8-9 years because I'm just not a movie guy. But if this one hits our little mini theater, like one screen theater that we have here, if it hits here, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to go watch it, and I'm going to sit back in one of their recliners, and I'm going to have some fun watching it, right? But getting back, as we got about 3 minutes to go, I just don't want the UFO world to sit there and do what they did on Super Bowl Sunday and try and make this into something that it's not. It's bad for the field.
I think that, like, I've recently made connections with an individual who does a lot of different CE5 type events around the country. And he's looking at the film and thinking, hey, this is going to spark a lot of interest from people who want to understand and experience the phenomena. And that's his approach and thought to the movie. It's not that he thinks it's going to somehow push the needle for government disclosure, but it's just going to spark an interest in people wanting to understand, like, can they make contact with ET? Can they make contact with the phenomena? Whatever the case may be. And honestly, I think that's the the conversations and the potential for healthy exploration in how an individual can get involved with the phenomena and what that would mean to them at a spiritual or an intellectual level. But yeah, I 100% agree that anyone who says the movie is going to push governments of the world to disclose is clickbait.
100%. 100%. And like I said, I am looking forward to seeing the movie. We're going to talk about this movie coming up for the next 4 months till it's out.
Yep.
And then we'll talk about it after it's out. Okay. And our terrestrial radio stations and people who listen to the podcast will probably say, okay, is there another movie going on? Because I'm sick and tired of this going on. Right. But I could tell you, it is an important movie for Spielberg. And like I said from the beginning, I wish it was going to be some sort of, unannounced sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. After seeing the trailer at Super Bowl, I don't believe it is now. I was hoping, I had my fingers crossed, but Josh, I think you're right on that one.
Yeah, I think that. I think that there's a possibility, though, that Spielberg pulled from lore within the UFO community when he made Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Project Serpo is represented with the astronauts getting to leave and go with the ETs, etc. There's other connections to other parts of lore. So, it stands to reason that there may be connections in this new film as well that UFO people could pick up on.
We continue with the Wizard right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, Wizard, we're clear.
Cool.
Oh man, am I sore right now? Yeah, I jumped on X after that just to see, and I was just like shaking my head.
Well, I've watched a couple different folks on YouTube since yesterday too, and everybody's using that kind of the music that's the underlying music of the trailer. They're not using the clicking, but they're using kind of that underlying music in their pod, in their video podcasts and things like that. So, yeah, it's just it for me. It's a matter of separating the people who are really interested in the topic versus the people who are interested in the topic because it's a means to make money or get listenership or viewership or whatever. Like, if you're going to jump on the bandwagon and borrow or steal things from a movie that's coming out in hopes that it'll somehow mean your video gets more views, you're not invested in the topic.
I agree. And I mean, that's the problem. That's the problem right there, my friend, is, so many people are just channels now for clickbait. They're not there for information. They're there for a quick 30-second hit. This is why I hate these shorts. We see these shorts on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook and the reels, whatever. I hate these because all they are is clickbait nonsense, the majority of them. All right. And now you get the new thing where that's been going on for, about a year where, they'll play a little video and then they'll say, hey, click on my channel for part 2.
Yeah.
And it is getting ridiculous. Right. And I don't know how much longer people will start putting up with that because it's literally becoming, what late night infomercials were to us back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right. Where we just started saying, okay, television's over for the night. Let's play some music.
Yep.
And that's the problem is we have too many people doing it for likes. And the shitty part about it is channels like yours, mine, and many other great channels out there get buried in the algorithm because of people like this who are putting out these clickbait shitstorm videos that last 30 seconds to 2 minutes.
Well, and I like to think that the pendulum will soon swing back the other way. People will get tired of watching those things and they'll be starting looking for like real content again. And then, channels like ours will come back into the fold. But right now we're, a little bit out in the cold on some of these things. And all we have, but I think, again, because we're invested in the topic, we're going to continue to do our thing. And eventually we'll be back in the mix, hopefully.
I hope so. But society, unfortunately, due to our attention spans, has been dumbed down so much that, and when I say that, guys, I'm part of that problem. Okay. There are certain videos that I'm like, oh, this is taking too long. I'm just switching videos, because my mind needs that fix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm one of them. I'm one of the bad ones. I can admit it. Right? I've turned into one of the bad ones where I'm not even finishing a minute-long reel anymore. Right?
Yeah, I actually try not to watch a lot of shorts for that purpose. I watch when I'm not watching YouTube videos, I'm watching woodworking videos or car build type videos where they're like taking a barn find and bringing it back to life and all the little steps that goes along the way. And, it's broken up into 36 episodes across the year. Like that's where I'm at. So.
Well,
But yeah, I think I'm probably not the norm.
oh, I hear you. I hear you, man. You know what? We're coming back in like 8 seconds, dude.
Okay.
Here we go, everybody. All right, let's get straight to Josh Rutledge and the UFO report as the wizard continues on. My name is Dave Scott, and we're having some fun tonight. Wizard, how you doing, my friend?
Doing fantastic. Fantastic as always.
All
Happy
right,
to be here.
We talked a lot in the first half hour with you about the Disclosure Day movie trailer. It was the first movie trailer that actually went in. I mean, that was probably about $4.5 million worth of advertising there, which, I'm
sure the studio can afford it.
We officially know this is a big budget film.
Yeah.
Right.
I think all of Spielberg films are big budget films. So
I apologize if I'm standing up right now, but my arthritis is kicking in, man, and I am so sore right now.
Oh,
so sore.
Sorry to hear it.
You're gonna get the stand-up version of me right now, dude.
But
what else you got for us here?
Yeah, so this is a couple weeks old. I'm surprised I missed it. But well, I guess maybe because of the site that it's on. But Canada Sports Betting, the company or website, I don't know. I really don't know much about Canada Sports Betting. I don't know much about sports betting in general, but they put out an article on January 7th, and then it's been revised as of January 23rd. But it is the Alien Abduction Odds Index of 2026.
Nice.
It's where reports cluster across the U.S. and Canada. And they actually give a percentage of, like, depending on where you live, what percentage you have of being abducted.
Nice.
Now, it's all of their data came from New Fork. So it's, doesn't include any MUFON data. What's the other place that spun up? Enigma. I think Enigma Lab. I don't probably doesn't include, although Enigma Labs just they just pull in
anyways
MUFON and New Fork anyway. So, but so the starting off with Canada key findings. Okay. British Columbia ranks first overall, producing more UFO reports than any other province. Since 2019, BC has logged 1,264 sightings, the highest total in Canada.
Nice. Good job, my fellow British Columbians. Good job.
The next on the list is New Brunswick reports sightings most frequently relative to its population, with 4.68 UFO reports per 100,000 residents. Alberta is next on the list with 4.04 reports per 100,000 residents.
That surprises me that it's third.
And Quebec stands out for the type of reports rather than how often sightings occur, with 1 in 4 UFO reports includes abduction-related details.
Wow.
If you live in BC, you are 2%, 1 in 50 to be abducted.
1 in 50. Nice. Now, is that just people who are having the experience or on the whole population?
That's a good question. Let me see. It just says this is per capita ranking of abduction style UFO reports. 1 in X are implied odds for comparison only, not predictions. That's all it says.
Okay, because British Columbia has a population of about 5.5 million people, maybe 6 million. Might be around 6 million now. Now, if you're looking at a population, 1 out of every 50 people,
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably 1 in 50 reports
right? That sounds a little bit
because it has a percentage out next to it. It says 2% or 1 in 50. So I'm thinking that's 1 in 50 reports.
right.
Alberta is next, New Brunswick, Quebec, and then Nova Scotia rounds it out at 1 in 73.
I would be curious to see the areas of where this is happening. Like, because it's easy to say when you look at Canada, it's easy to say it's Vancouver. It's
Mhm.
easy to say it's Montreal, all of the big popular
Right.
cities. Okay. But I look in my area where I am here in the Cariboo, man, and there is a little town about an hour and a half drive south of me called Little Fort. And it about half an hour from Little Fort is a place called Clearwater, where that whole section between of Highway 5, I believe it is, between Clearwater and Little Fort, people talk about their alien abductions and UFO encounters there. You know, it's Little Fort. If you took Rachel, Nevada, and you put an extra gas station in there, okay, you would literally have Little Fort. Okay, if you put Rachel, Nevada in the Washington State Mountains or the Oregon Mountains,
Yeah.
that's what Little Fort would look like. Okay, and Clearwater would look, a little bit more, picturesque. It really is. If you ever get that drive, man, well,
Okay.
the mountains are gorgeous, but people there talk about it. Now they don't go talking to strangers. Like if you or I walked up and walked into the
Yeah.
local
Right.
diner that's on the way, okay, where they have a UFO outside. If you walked in there and say, "Hey, where's the aliens?" They're not going to answer you.
Right.
But it is one of the places that is a hotbed. Vancouver has a hotbed for sightings, but I don't think it has a lot of abductions.
Right.
But Vancouver's going to get credit for it.
Because of it just kind of grabs all the little towns in the
Absolutely.
area. Right.
Absolutely. But you start going more north, or you go to a lot of First Nations reserves. I had one elder in my area tell me, I was asking about Bigfoot one day, and this was back in 2018, and he says to me, he goes, "No, we don't have so much issues with Bigfoot." He goes, "I just wish the damn star people would leave our people alone." That's kind of the way it is.
Well, would you like to hear the tops for United States?
I do. I definitely want to hear it.
So for the U.S., number 1 in the U.S., 24 sightings per 100,000 residents. You want to take a guess?
Hold on. I'm thinking. 24 sightings per 100 residents?
100,000.
100,000. East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast.
New Jersey?
New Hampshire.
Really?
Yep. It says that people in New Hampshire report UFO sightings more often than anywhere else on a per capita basis. Idaho, Vermont, and Maine follow closely with 21 sightings per 100,000 residents. In several states, there are a large share of sightings involve close encounters. Idaho, Vermont, Oregon, and Wyoming, roughly 1 in 5 reports includes claims like missing time or direct contact. Wyoming stands out again for type of reports. While it says while sightings are less frequent overall, more than 25% of reports describe abduction style experiences, the highest share in the US top 10. So again,
Really?
it's a sparsely populated area, but they have more abduction cases. There's probably some information to be gleaned about that.
Right.
Um,
I'm surprised there isn't more sightings in the northern part of the Midwest, from Montana all the way down to or right across to the Dakotas.
it's not a matter of the number of sightings, it's the number of sightings per capita.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
Like, I know those are smaller populations.
right.
I get that and I can appreciate that. But, with all that open sky there, you think people would report it a little bit more.
Or they don't look up. I mean that really is a problem a lot these days. Is that people are walking around staring down at their phones. You know, they don't look at the night sky. I honestly think that's what a lot of what was happening in the Northeast during the whole drone thing of New Jersey is that there might have been a few anomalous things there, but for the most part, it was because it was being talked about on the news. People who don't normally look at the sky were looking at the sky, and they were seeing things they didn't recognize because they don't normally look at the sky because they're normally staring down at their phone while they're walking from their car to their house. So, it's just, it would be interesting to see how this list would potentially change if they were or could incorporate MUFON data. Because that's another thing. Like again, they're getting this data from Newfork, and I don't know what the ratio is between people who report to Newfork versus MUFON. But if an area is, let's say that pick a state, Arizona. Let's say that Arizona. There was 100 sightings and 70 of them were reported to MUFON and only 30 were reported to Newfork. Then
Right.
obviously their data is going to be skewed.
Right.
Right. But in another state, 70 were reported to Newfork and only 30 were reported to MUFON. So it's going to skew their data.
Yes.
But yeah. So like we talked about the implied odds for Canada, New Hampshire is the top of the list, 1 in 50 cases. We're just going to assume it's cases. It doesn't say cases, but I don't think it's 50 people. It's too high. So 1 in 50 cases. Where I am in Arizona, it's 1 in 70 cases. Where I'm originally from in Kentucky, it's 1 in 93 cases. So, yeah. The lowest point on the list is New Mexico with 1 in 431 cases.
That surprises me.
It does, yeah.
I'm actually blown away by that number. I realize it is relative to population. I get that.
Yeah.
Whole statistics factor. Okay. And I do recognize that there is a level of discrepancy here because it's just a Newfork stats. MUFON's not included. We don't really worry about Enigma Labs. They're irrelevant anyways. Okay. But I'm really surprised that New Mexico would be last. Is that just in the lower 48? Like, where does Alaska and Hawaii rank?
Well, real quick, while I'm looking that up, I'll respond to your statement about New Mexico. You have to remember that New Mexico also has a big reservation, a couple actually, and indigenous folks may not report cases.
That's very likely.
So Hawaii is 1 in 71 cases. And Alaska is 1 in 77.
Okay. Yeah. And it's funny because if you probably go to those two states, well, Alaska would be very difficult because the majority of the state is unpopulated.
Yeah.
Okay. Alaska is bigger than most countries.
Right.
Okay. And I think because the majority of that state is not populated, you're really pushing for people who live along the coastline to make
Right.
those sightings.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Canada, where did you know, I don't even know if you know this, that 90% of the Canadian population lives within 100 miles of the Canada-US border?
I think I'd heard that stat once before, but yeah. I
Yeah.
know that a lot of it is just kind of unpopulated mountainous
Oh, yeah.
area. So
Yeah.
the frozen tundra of the north.
We are in a tundra land, right? We are in a tundra land. So the only reason why I bring that up is I think places like Alaska and New Mexico, you have more belief that people are going to, probably see things, but because it's more of a normalized conversation than say it would be in other states or provinces, that it probably doesn't get reported as much as it normally would in another state where people are trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's possible. And it's also just like the point around New Mexico with being a large indigenous population, the same is true of Alaska. And so again, if indigenous peoples just, it's part of all of this stuff is really just part of their culture. Like they've lived with it for thousands of years, um, they just, I think, consider it as normal happenings. So they don't really report, like we don't get in Arizona, we have a large Navajo reservation in Arizona. We don't really get reports out of the Navajo Nation. I think they engage, with Navajo police sometimes, but they don't make it into MUFON. So, it probably stands to reason that a lot of indigenous folks do not report things to New Fork and MUFON.
I would agree with you. And do you think, though, that the majority of believers, like we are surrounded in our audience with believers, Josh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you think the majority of our believers are actually people who report in to MUFON or New Fork, or because they already know, they're not bothering and you're relying more on people who've maybe never had an encounter or experience to actually fill up those reporting sites?
I would say it's probably like 75-25. So 75 being people who have never really had an experience, or if they've had an experience, they've never really found a good answer. And 25% of those people who have had lots of experiences and just continue to report them in just for the sake of, the more data, maybe we'll know some more information.
We got about 2.5, 3 minutes to go here before we have to say goodnight. Those statistics, what are you betting on? And in the end, it was about a Canadian gambling site. What are you betting on when it comes to those stats?
I don't know that I would want to bet on somebody getting abducted. That seems like a really hard moral, like ethical line to draw. It's like would you want to bet on the missing 411 people? Like who's going to go hiking? Are they going to go missing? Like that seems like a really so I would say that if I were going to use this information to place some sort of a bet, it might be that the stats might change over, like, Connecticut may move up in the rankings by 3 by the end of this year. Like, I might bet on something like that, um yeah, I don't think I'm going to bet on whether or not somebody's going to get abducted, or if the numbers of people who might get abducted might increase or whatever, or decrease. um what would be an interesting stat to go back to the first half hour conversation is, do sightings increase? Do reported sightings increase after Steven Spielberg's movie comes out?
I think we're going to see an increase. I do. It happened with other movies, like the movie Signs, where all of a sudden people were going into farmers' yards to the point where farmers were getting upset because people were destroying their corn crops and their wheat crops to make these illegitimate crop circles.
Yep. Well, it happened originally in the 90s too, when those guys in England said, "Yeah, we could do it with strings and boards."
Right?
Then everybody started trying to recreate what they were doing. So yeah, not movie related, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if more people look up, more people wonder, and if they start actually filing reports. The thing that I would say as a MUFON person, Newfork doesn't investigate. Enigma Labs, they don't investigate. MUFON investigates every case that gets submitted.
Well, get ready for an influx of Starlink satellite sightings, International Space Station sightings, and any other type of satellite sightings.
But every single one of those is an opportunity to educate the populace.
You got that right. Josh, you're the best. As we say goodnight to the wizard, and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Josh.
Thank you. For Thursday, I should probably have. I will have watched all the recordings from the UAP detection conference that happened this past weekend. That was virtual.
All right.
So I should have some good tidbits of information from that.
All right.
And we didn't get into the potential whistleblower about alien reproduction vehicles, so we can get into that on Thursday too.
Nice.
So on that note, I'm going to call it a night.
I don't blame you. I'm going to be calling it a night here in a minute too.
Take get you some Epsom salt. Do a bath in Epsom salt. It'll help your joints.
Oh, yeah.
So
That sounds lovely, my man. Lovely. Buddy, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank
joints will also help your joints. So
What's that?
Joints will also help your joints. So
I'm going to probably pop a gummy after this.
yeah.
I can pretty much guarantee that's going to happen. I rarely do, but I think tonight is one of those nights. As we say goodnight to Josh, I'm going to say goodnight to all of you as well, because I am like literally sore. Thank you to John and David for our super chats tonight. Really appreciate it. Oh, and Deborah Rooney too. There's Deborah Rooney slipping one in late. She roofied me with a super chat right there. Thank you, Deborah Rooney. I love you. I do. And tomorrow night on the show, Christopher Macklin is back. We had him on a few weeks ago, almost 2 months ago. We're going to be talking about Greenland, the gateway to the off-planet ET empire. We're going to find out because there seems to be a lot of interest with Greenland recently as well. So thank you to everybody. I appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow night. I got to go take some painkillers. I am sore. Thank you. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.